The
Elitist
Pizza
podcast. Go. Go to the moon.
I think we should do that again. Go to the moon?
What? We don't still do that? I don't know.
No.
I know they're going to Mars soon, so.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Um,
We should have done that yesterday.
well, that's assuming that space is real and the Earth isn't flat.
I was like convinced for like a week that the Earth was flat.
What changed?
I looked into it more. But like the thing that was weird to me was like, this is how it was explained. Why? So I'll just make the argument to you, okay? If gravity is real, why do balloons float?
That is a genius argument. Whoever made that argument is a genius.
Because some people will say, oh, because the helium is lighter. But if it's lighter, wouldn't it be easier for the gravity to pull down on it? Now that was very convincing. Well, it was actually for like a few periods. I had to look this up. So the next period I had like in school, I had access to a computer, so I looked it up. And this is how it works. So like a bubble in the ocean is like a balloon in the air, because the air inside the bubble is less dense than the water around it. So the water is pushed below it, thereby pushing the bubble up. The same thing happens with the helium. The helium is less dense than the air around it. So the air falls around it because it's more dense, thereby pushing the helium up. Isn't that kind of weird? Like, isn't that kind of crazy?
Yeah, it is. Crazy how the world works, but
Or like,
I think it's a good thing to question these things, though.
yeah, it is good. Yeah, totally. I think the idea like, oh, let's just dismiss them. I think that contributes to the conspiracy theory. Like, oh, well, see, they don't even want to hear about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, it's so crazy. Like, so you know how like space time is curved by mass and energy curves space time or something.
Sure, yeah.
So like, it's kind of difficult to explain. But from an objective perspective, the Earth is a sphere. But from the perspective of people who are on it, it's flat.
Right.
Because space-time is literally curved by the mass that is the Earth. So this is why we perceive things as straight lines, but they're actually curved. So think about it like this. If you and I, let's say I'm in London and you are in Germany. Well, probably London, Germany wouldn't be a good example. I'm in Libya and you're in Egypt. And we both walk due north. We're going to get closer and closer to each other. But how is that possible if north is only intersects once?
Right.
If it's a straight line, that shouldn't happen. Because when I look at north in Libya or wherever I said it was, and then you look north in Egypt, we're both looking the exact same direction. If we go straight in that direction, we'll get closer to each other. There's no angle. But that's because space-time is curved. We exist within the bending that mass does on that gravity or something does on space-time. So we don't perceive it. Like, something else that was crazy was that, like, if you take a big triangle, so, like, we say, the government will tell you that triangles are, so if you have an equilateral triangle, each angle is 60 degrees, right? On a flat surface. But there are no flat surfaces. Well, there are no flat surfaces in that, truthfully speaking. We just don't notice it because of how small the curve is. Oh, because we're so small compared to the Earth. So if you take like a equilateral triangle, that if you draw a triangle on the Earth, with like 100 miles long, the angles will be wider than 60 degrees. But each of the lines will still be straight. They'll just be they'll be curved like on the thing. They'll be curved out from space, but on the Earth they would appear to be straight because you exist within the bending of space-time that gravity does. Isn't that are you following me?
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that like insane? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's something I've always wondered about. One of the many things that I think about, that I ponder
Ponder.
as a philosopher and a scientist.
Have you talked to people who like don't really question anything? Like if I just talked about that to someone who never really questioned like what they perceive, that would blow their fucking mind, man. They would think I was like a genius, especially if I presented it
Oh
like I
yeah.
just came up with it. What the fuck? What are you doing? Not being subscribed to the Elitist Pizza Podcast on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube? Do it. Now. Give us money.